Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Plant a Good Seed podcast here on IBM TV on Spiritual Saturdays. We have a very special guest today. Her name is Frida Lynn, and she'll be joining us in just a second. There she is, Frida! It's
Okay.
wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited and I'm nervous, but I think you are going to ask the question, so I'll just answer. And then if I don't know, Alana, you can just add to it. We know each other for not a long time, but really get to know each other. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for breaking the ice about being nervous, because some, people that watch don't realize that even though we're talking to our computers, it still can be a little nerve-wracking, right? So to see yourself and everything else, but totally, this is a conversation between me and you and the rest of the world. But seriously, so to tell people a little bit about how we know each other. So when I started my company last year, Earth Monkey Energies, I was told I needed to network, right? Because really business is all about connections, right? And you can't just put things out there and think people are going to come. You've got to connect with like people. So the very first networking event I went to was the Carrie Leeds group. And Frida Lynn was, hey, come on in, come sit beside me. I mean, right away. It's like she knew I was new. I had no idea. She must have read my energy, knew I didn't know what was going on. And she's like, come on, I gotcha. And so we just started talking, and she took me through, setting up one-on-ones. And even one of my customers, I remember, because I'm not really a salesperson, right? And I'm an energy
leader, okay?
We're great at it because you helped me there. There was a woman that we knew she was stressed out. She needed Reiki, and you are the one that said something to her. It was like, Tish, come on, you need to. I was like, oh, Frida. So you so understand how important connections are. And the other thing that's so fascinating about you is how dynamic you are. You have so much energy. I didn't tell you that I was gonna tell this story about you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm gonna tell this one. So Frida, I think I'm going to speak for myself. I immediately liked you as a human being, not just as a network referral partner, your energy and just everything. And one day you asked me if I wanted to go to a belly dance workshop. And I was so excited. I'm like, yes, I do want to go. Because at that point, my teacher hadn't been teaching, so I was so excited. And this is what, I haven't really told many people. But when I walked in, I didn't recognize Frida because Frida's a grandmother, right? And so in my head, I always think, grandmothers look a certain way. Frida had probably, and this is where I'm telling you on your Frida, had probably the best body in the whole place.
Oh, you mean a belly dance? No.
Oh, the teacher even, I was like, wow. Because so when Frida talks, like first she doesn't tell you what to do, but she gives you advice. Things that really work. So she is the proof in the pudding of how to live a diverse life, gives you the gift of health, right? So then you can do whatever you want for the rest of your life. It's a beautiful thing. So now that I've told a little bit that you might not have wanted to.
I did not even know that you know belly dance before, because not a lot of people do that. And I don't know what made me to ask you. And I guess because your spirit there. I mean, I will not ask. A lot of people, when I ask, they probably will be like,
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And I actually just started doing that about a year ago. So not a long time, but I thought I wouldn't take something new. And again, belly dance is something that treasured by other culture. I mean, for so long, there's a reason. So I did a little bit of research and found out it's really good for your core, for your pelvic, different things. I said, I need to take a lesson. Yeah.
We all do, whether we admit it or not, that it's helpful for all of us to watch those. But now that we've talked, can you tell folks a little bit about yourself, like where you came from and where you're at now?
So I was born in Taiwan, and after I graduated from college, I came here to Southern Illinois University. Recently, I met 2 or 3 people, alumni there, and I got my master's degree in food nutrition. And I also met my husband, who is from Taiwan. People always say, you mean you would meet your husband here?
Yeah, right.
no, there's no way I'm going to meet him. So anyway, we married and we moved to Maryland, and that's where I did my first career. I was a clinical dietitian and assistant director for nutritional service department for a hospital for 27 years. And then, so I love that experience there. You know, I don't know, I don't know a lot about American, just know American is a land of opportunity. And I have learned so many things there. People are so generous. And I remember when I have basically, you know, like I have my 2 kids there and my mother is not around, and I was never around with little siblings. So I don't know much about raising the kids. And I remember one of the employees did a baby shower for me, and he has a bill of all the goodies and everything. I pick it out. I don't know. What's this? Everyone was laughing so hard because everything. And then I'm sorry, I kind of diverse, but everything is new to me. Just like
right.
Yes. Mm-hmm, yeah.
You didn't know.
Yeah. So I was as a dietitian there for 27 years, but then somewhere along the line, I decided. I think I turned 40. Oh, you're going to know my age, but anyway.
Finally, I'm going to know how old you are.
So I kind of I look in the mirror and I kind of decided, you know, I eating right, trying to feed my brain, do exercise, and I really wanted to. I believe in we have control of how we show up on this world. That is health. Health is there, but I also wanted to do something to make sure my what I look does not represent how old I am, not what's the age there, but just. So anyway, so that's when I decided to look into skincare, and then wanted to just to learn how to take care of my skin. But then, you know, you do something you don't know, and I enjoy sharing that with other people. And now I know because I just love connecting with the people. And
you can tell.
So I was in skincare for 23 years, and then 2 years with a new company, which we can talk more later. But that's my background, and I have 2 kids. Maybe I'll brag a little bit. My daughter graduated from Yale, and my son graduated from Princeton. But of course, you know, when they are in my house, I can claim these as one of my achievements. Not anymore. Okay. Not anymore. Okay. So anyway, so I have 2 kids, and my daughter is in Chapel Hill, and that's why I'm here, because when she has her first one, I said, I'll come and help you for 3 months, but I'm not going to take care of them. But you know,
there you are.
I'm not really taking them full time, but I'm there to be with them because I really wanted to be a part of their life, so I can instill some values and cultures in them. And then my son is in Taiwan, so because they learn Chinese language and they love Chinese culture, so he actually went to international business school in Singapore. He worked in Hong Kong, and then now he works in Taiwan. He just had a baby, so that's
congratulations, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
So 3 grandchildren.
Yes. Yeah.
And something else I didn't realize. So you had your children here in the United States.
Yeah, both of them were born and educated here. I have been here since 1973. So I have been here so much longer than I was at home, Taiwan.
So let's go back to you coming to the United States.
Right after I graduated from college.
But what made you want to come here?
So I guess in that time, everyone, like if you want to further your education, you can go to some graduate school in Taiwan, which is not, I don't even know whether there's a graduate degree for food nutrition. And so that's when I came over here, got a graduate degree in food nutrition. And I really wasn't thinking about staying. I was thinking about going home. But then I met my husband, and he continued. After he got a master, he went to University of Maryland working on a doctor's PhD degree. He did not get it, but that's okay. So know it's fine, you know. Yeah, the when I had my first one, he's a program, so he was able to stay home with my daughter,
Nice.
doing puzzle or whatever. So anyway, so after that, I guess we decided to stay here. Just probably like a lot of people do, is this, it's such a place of opportunities.
Yep. And there's so many, I've got to say, Americans, people that were born here and raised here, that sometimes we forget how many opportunities are here in the United States. No matter what's going on politically, there's still opportunities here. And again, so many times we forget. Just like last week, we were talking about, genes make your destiny. So if your father has a heart attack, you're going to, you can change these things. And so in the United States, we forget sometimes, we get so limited in our pathway that so many people like you see it as an opportunity. And there's so many things here to offer.
Yeah. No, I just want to say college education, in Taiwan, it was so competitive because in Chinese culture, we think education is the most important thing. The competition is so huge. Like when you apply for college, you take the exam and you fill out which are the school you wanted to go, and depending on your there, and you can end up in a department maybe not of what you want. So it's very competitive, and graduate school is very competitive. But here, there's so many education here. American so many education educate people and also attract people and have them be able to stay here and contribute to the country, really. So so that's really what a lot of us seen is we can get into a graduate school.
Educational opportunity. The funny thing is, you're right, though, about the intellectual property of the United States is actually made up of everybody from everywhere that's here. It's not just people, people from here that make up our intellectual property. And we would be at a real loss if we didn't honestly take advantage of the people that come here and the brains that come here and what they offer us. So again, it's all about diversity, isn't it, Frida?
I know. And there could be the policy is kind of going the other direction. So anyway, yeah.
Well, this is Mark Lee, Frida. Mark.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing good. Always glad to join Tish, one of the producers and everything. I'm actually feeling a little out of place because you two ladies have plants in your background, and there's no plants where I'm at. So I'm feeling a little out of place because there's no plants over here.
Mark, I'm going to have to come see you and bring you a plant, man.
All right.
And then you can feel comfortable. But yeah, so Frida's been telling us all about where she's from and what brought her to the country and about her family. So I was about to deep dive back into nutrition, Frida, because that was your first career. And what made you pick nutrition?
Remember, I told you put in your what department you want to. Home economics. Okay, and then so after a year in home economics. I love the cooking. It's okay. But the sewing, my goodness, I don't have patience for that. So I transfer out to nutrition, Department of Nutrition. Okay, so yes, it's just not ideal. So, but anyway.
But you made a career out of it. You helped a lot of people.
I'm so blessed. I mean, I look back in my life, people always say, oh, if you are 20 years younger, 30 years younger, what were the things that you would do differently? I always say, no, I like how my life goes. There's nothing I want to change because everything happened leads to the next one. And, so I'm very blessed. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And it really wound up, and it's really taking care of you as well. Because you learned so many things. And that's why, Mark, I don't know if you heard the belly dance story, but that's what leads to part of your energy and the way that you can not attack, because you certainly don't attack, but you go after what you want. You think about it and you go grab it. Nothing stops you from it. So that is just one of the most amazing things about you, Frida.
And and I know we're going to go into different culture, but that's also Americans' culture. The opportunities, directness. I mean, if you want something, you go and get it. And like in my country is pretty modern. Like woman is pretty equal there, but there's still like certain things you a little bit modest, you a little bit draw back a little bit. So yeah. So here, and especially when you get older, okay.
That's right.
I mean, you want to live the life the way you want it.
This is my life. I'm going to live it, and I'm going to go after, because really the point is we're all different, right? So if we never take those steps to fulfill what sparks our soul, what we want to do, then we're going to get trapped. And that's why I think so many people get old. They think there's no opportunities. Their body starts to kind of cave in on themselves because they're not going after and doing these new and different things and thinking about what makes them happy. Just like you said, you tried belly dancing because you thought it was time to do something new and different and it was going to be good for you. It was similar with me too, because I love music and I love the way it feels. So, you got to keep doing that. Diversity is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about your upbringing in Taiwan. Now that you've been here in the United States, you raised your children, you're helping with your grandchildren. They're just beautiful, by the way. They're so fortunate too with what you're giving them, because you're giving them really the best of both worlds. But let's go back to maybe a time that you were growing up in Taiwan, maybe comparing it to like how your grandchildren growing up in the United, or even your children, the difference between growing up in Taiwan and growing up in the United States.
Well, I know you asked me that question, but I would just use one example. When I was here, my husband said, he was so happy he does not have to celebrate any holidays because he's not in Taiwan and he is not American yet. And he has to celebrate both holidays. Holidays have its meaning.
Yes, they do.
Like Thanksgiving is to thank for giving. Christmas is given. But I also want my kids to know some Chinese holiday because it always has a story behind that. Like we have our teacher's Confucius birthday. We celebrate that because Confucius is a great teacher. And in our Chinese, like the line of profession, what's the highest? It's teacher. And we respect teachers. So you use a holiday and you use a holiday to give you opportunity to share with them about a story and different things and for them to realize that. Like our Dragon Festival.
Yeah.
Right? So do you know the story behind that? No. It's actually a valid patriot. He's a minister and he wanted to, his king does not listen to his advice. And then the state was kind of defeated and he was so sad because he did not listen to him. So he jumped into the river to show his loyalty or whatever. And when the people heard about that, they respect him. So they raised the boat and they are afraid that he is going to be eaten by the fish. And so they throw some rice into there for him. So that's sort of like but that story tells you about you're living principle and you wanted to do the right thing. Yes. And let's see, our Chinese Lunar New Year, always actually in the agricultural world. It's like you work so hard year round, and when the winter is come February, usually that's Lunar Year. There's not much you can do on the ground. It's frozen or whatever. Yeah. After you work so hard, that's the time you celebrate. And the most important thing is go to elders and friends to greet them. So we respect our elder. So anyway, that's just one of the things I felt like.
Those are wonderful points because the meaning behind them. Like I know here in this country sometimes, like let's take St. Patrick's Day, right? There's so many of us. I've been here my whole life and I'm like, I'm not sure. Green beer, that's why we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and I'm making light of it, but still. Yeah. But your point's so valid that the holidays really are a time to stop and reflect on the purpose, right, of the holiday. Why is it a holiday? What's important here? And it gives us a chance to bring that out in our lives, with ourselves. Like you said, it gives you another chance to connect with your loved ones and respect. You've just said so much. First of all, teachers are the top. I mean, I want to go back to that right there because
the merchant people is the salesperson is the bottom. And here is a little bit reverse.
Well, politicians, merchants, money. Then like police off, all, especially with what's going on, all the people that serve people.
People are
that keep our society going.
No, I mean, they do a very hard job. I taught Chinese school for 12 years when my kids growing up every Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Not during the summer, for just 2 hours. And I know, I mean, the amount of work go in there if you want to be a good teacher. I mean, and then when I was teacher for my daughter, and then when my son started to that grade, he said, no, I don't want you to be my teacher. But I said, I wanted to be your teacher because I actually observed more things from the classroom that I didn't really see that.
100%. That was part of why I loved helping out in the classroom, not to be selfish, but I could watch the dynamics. I could watch the kids with the teachers. I could watch the kids with themselves, watch the other teachers, watch the administrators. You can see the environment when you really teach, and you can also see how somebody's brain works, can't you? As well as your own. When you try to teach, you're like, okay, wait. It's not easy.
If I can jump in, one of the greatest things that I saw, and I think it's one of the things that I've seen in other cultures, even like Asian cultures and everything, is I know I have 2 nephews. I don't have any kids of my own, but I have 2 nephews. And my dad started teaching them when they were literally babies. I remember him going around showing them like nature and showing them things of that nature. And I think that that's actually why they are such good learners now, because they got that early practice. So they were actually learning at a very early age, even before they got into the school setting. So that's one of the things I've noticed from Asian cultures, from some of the African cultures as well, is that a lot of times it seems that folks are engaged more in the learning at a very early age. And it's not so much around play, which sometimes we get caught up in. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with play, because we need the play element, but I do think that sometimes we need to just stop back and have the kids learn. And I remember that some friends of mine, when I told that story of my dad, they were like, kids don't really have their brains developed at that age, so they won't understand what they're saying. And I don't necessarily believe in that philosophy. I think that kids are very resilient and learn at a very early age.
And you teach the kids in Chinese. We have so many great things there, but you teach them the knowledge, but you actually, through teaching them the knowledge, you're trying to teach them some values, some principles to form their character. That is so important. And if you just read a textbook, it's sometimes no. But why is a teacher so important? Because when they teach you something, they can use the story, and they can use the meaning of the story to tell them why. Why is this? Why? So that's. Anyway,
but there's an energy transfer when you're teaching someone, right? Because there's the love of whatever it is that you have, and knowledge is a gift. Just straight out, it's a gift. And anytime anybody tries to share any type of knowledge, as long as it's not coming from an ego point of view, like I know that, but when it's out and out, just true knowledge, it's a real gift. And kids, even if they're little tiny, like you can watch little tiny babies, they have no idea. I remember when I first started reading to my son. He was gnawing on the book. He had no idea. It was a SpongeBob book. I'll never forget, because I was just sitting there. I was like, why am I reading to him when all he's doing is gnawing on the book? And then I realized it's the feeling, it's the energy. And something like you're talking about, Mark, is the feeling he got of receiving that gift, right? Because you also have to receive, like when Frida shares all of her knowledge, I just have to stop and start receiving, to make sure I don't miss it. And I know I still miss stuff, but so it's that whole connection too, in that whole, so your dad with your nephews, whether they remembered exactly what it was, they remembered, like you said, the feeling and the back and forth. And when you get it from someone that you're related to, I think that's a whole different level too. It's that love, it's that almost intimacy that comes from, it's all of that. Like I remember my grandmothers were my angels on this earth, for heaven's sakes. They taught me, principles and kindness and compassion and working hard. You work hard. You shuck these peas, But Frida.
And you teach your kids not by teaching, but by setting examples.
Right.
So when you do those things, your kids sees that, and they are going to model that. So all the love you do, the right thing you do, and then when it's just that's how you get your kid.
But the example, a funny thing, did you guys see the video on it's just a little Facebook video, but it was hilarious. It was a mother talking to her teenage son, and she said, go like this and put it on your chin. Go like this. And he was standing right beside her, and he was doing exactly, see, just like that, Frida, put it on your chin. Put it on your chin. And then she broke out laughing. Put it on your chin. Because people see, even you. Even by example, right? We follow by example.
We follow by example, and sometimes we just hear amazing stories. I know earlier today I was watching a friend of mine's podcast, unfortunately not on our network, Tish, but it was still a friend of mine's show, and they were talking about the starfish. And they were giving the ocean of this young child that found these thousands of starfish out on the ocean, and they were tossing the starfish in back, and they were like trying to throw the starfish back into the ocean. And some gentleman walked by, and he was like, why are you trying to throw the starfish? And there's thousands of these. You're not going to be able to rescue all 1,000 of them. And the child just kind of like turned back, and as I recall the story, was like, yeah. And they tossed one more starfish. They said, I just helped that starfish. So it's the idea of that you reach out and help in one. So maybe you can't help all 1,000, but you're trying to help at least one of them. And they were using that as an example, even in the teaching field, because they were talking about what's going on with our online learning is what the conversation was about. They were using the example of like just trying to help one and just tossing that starfish and everything. And just really quickly, kind of diverting away from education, I definitely want to come back to it. But even in terms of educating around the holidays, and I know you were talking about that, Frida, and everything, everybody this weekend and definitely into Monday is going to be running to the beach. It's Labor Day. But what folks forget about Labor Day is that Labor Day is actually a celebration of the unions and the trade unions. But folks actually forget that part of Labor Day. To a lot of folks, it's just another day to go and celebrate the end of summer, go to the beach and things of that nature. But if you ask them what was Labor Day about, I would dare to say that the majority of the population would not know that it was connected to trade unions and a celebration of those trade unions, which I know are also important to teachers, because the teacher union is one of our most important unions.
Yeah.
You're right though, Mark. We forget it's another day off.
Yeah, that's it. Just another day off.
Now the starfish also tells me one thing. You know, we as adults, after we go through the life, we have a dream when we're little.
Yes.
As we go through the life, we become a little more practical. But we need to remember we don't discourage our younger generation when they have a dream, that they are our hope. So that you want to be really mindful. You want to help them a little bit to know the practicality part of that, but you also cannot just kind of totally ruin that, because that's why our world is going to be changed, because they have a dream, they have that. But
very much so, because we become socialized and think things aren't possible and forget that things are possible. And they need to be able, because that partially those dreams are what sparks our soul, right? And that's what's important to us. And we have to keep that spark alive. We have to keep moving with it. And that brings me back to diversity, because that's what that can do for us.
Yes.
But that's awesome that you taught the school, Frida. I didn't know that you taught school.
Just about
things you do.
So So anyway, let's see what else I was going to say. I was going to say about language. A lot of time, like when I was teaching language, and people, especially born in a family that parents can speak the language, a lot of time they use the reason that you want to learn a lot of language because it's going to help you to find a job or whatever. But very important factor for people like my kids to learn the language is that's the bridge to be able to connect to the culture and to be able to connect it to my grandparents or whatever. And that's how they can feel that flow in there. Finding job, sometimes that might not be in a place, but that's what is so important. So anyway,
it's the reflection of the culture. Now that's a great point. Language does reflect culture 100%.
If you don't know language, you won't be able to truly understand about the culture. Yeah.
Because language, even in translation, you never can get exact word for word translation because there's so many subtleties and nuances within each language that is the reflection of the culture. You're totally right. So did you find when you were teaching, because I've read some things, there's some folks like that believe, I've seen some folks that are really interested in their native culture, and then I've seen some folks that aren't, they're like, I don't need to know that, like you said, I only need for a job or something. I don't need that. Did you ever, now teaching, I imagine people came to you because they were looking to it, but did you ever find that there were disparities even within a family, that like maybe the mother wanted the kids to learn the language, but the father didn't really? I mean, have you seen the different kind of back and forth with that?
I also think it's actually hard. Chinese word is very difficult to write. And I do see some kids that does not have a really good memory there. They really do struggle. So so a lot of time parents want it, but if you have to you really have to work really hard to help them to stay with it. So like when my kids growing up, they know not going to Chinese school is not something can be discussed. Right. It's a fact. And my kids, when they write their word, they go to their father, they will always carry an eraser. So because they know a lot of word is going to be erased, so they can remember it again. So when you teach you, and I think most of the parents knows about the value there, but sometimes it's not necessarily easy to do because 2 hours out of the day, and especially if you only have one parent can speak the language, it's hard. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, totally. I just know that I've seen that before. Like sometimes it's generations.
Here with you, I was on an airplane in Texas, and then I was just talking to someone on my side, and who is from Texas, but with a Hispanic background, and I think she's from Ivy League school, but she said now she regretted because when she was little, her parents was afraid that her English is not good and purposely did not teach her Spanish. Oh. Okay. That's a lot of parents thinking about that. They were afraid that if you learn your own language, you won't be able to grasp your English there. And now she really regrets she cannot do that. And she actually bring the teacher to make sure they can teach her kids the language. So sometimes it's the survival and different things there that makes you have to do things a little bit different. So really cannot blame the parents, but.
Well, it's Go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say, one of the things I wish that we would teach more in school and everything is actually celebrating that diversity. Because like I said, I don't think that there's enough things done to celebrate diversity, even in our school system. I know that I've been wanting to go for years, and I just went this year for the first time right before COVID, so I made it just in time. But I've been wanting to go for years to the Chinese Lantern Festival, and I had never been to it, and I went to it for the first time this year, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, it was just great. I went with a friend of mine, and we definitely just had a great time enjoying all of those amazing figures, the animals that were done in lights and everything, and also the performances, because there was a group of folks that had actually come, I think, from maybe mainland China. I'm not sure which part of China they came from, but they definitely came and did performances of juggling and all of that just was very captivating. And I also used to go regularly to the International Festival. Again, it didn't happen this year because of COVID, but that was just a way that you could go and see all these different parts of the world culture. And I've always been a fan of different cultures. So I wish that we would have more of that in our school system, not just at these special occasions, not the special occasions, because I love those events, but I wish it would also come into the school system more.
Especially because I think, our students, to a large extent, depending on where you are, we do sometimes have a diverse student population.
Yes. No, what I said, that happened about maybe 10 years ago. I think now it's better, but I'm just saying, sometimes when you first immigrate here and you work so hard, and so that's what I'm saying. So, but educated people that has the fortune to be educated people have a means of make a decent living, they do recognize the importance of that. Yeah. So just for example, my daughter, okay, She is born and educated here, and I'm so proud of her because she can communicate a teacher in Chinese. And their kids is in a Glenwood school, which is bilingual, half day Chinese, half day English.
Wow.
That's one school in there. And then aftercare, they went to Red Apple Aftercare that teach in Chinese. And then she even enrolled them on Saturday to go to a Chinese school because one teach the simplified form, one teach the traditional one. So yeah, she just knows how important it is. And when I want to take my, she's always loved the opportunity if I want to take my kids to Taiwan. And she just totally believe in that. Yeah.
Well, that's because that's what you taught her. I mean, because the apple's not falling far from that tree there, Frida.
You know, I'm very fortunate that my two kids are, yes, I bring them that way, but they probably will do well at other people's family. I do have to say that. So I'm very fortunate.
That's awesome. So let's transition a little bit to global citizenship. So we're talking about how important cultures are, how important cultural diversity is, retaining our individual cultures, right? From the language, the holidays, lifestyles. So let's talk a little bit about global citizenship and what does it mean to you, Frida?
Okay. I guess it probably means that, you know, we all are the same. We are all human beings.
Yeah.
But because our culture, our upbringing, our language, that we thought we are different. So I guess global citizenship to me would be like we just need to try to understand each other's cultural background, values there. If you know, a lot of times something look odd to you, but once you find out the reason behind that, then you know why it is. You appreciate that, you accept that, and that's how you become together. So I just thought about an example, like in Qin Dynasty, people have hair, okay, and if you cut their hair, it's like cutting their head. And we actually, I mean, it's really like ruined because I don't know whether I can totally relay that, but we have a saying, okay, and I do use that to tell my kids, and I share that with other people. We say 身体发肤受之父母不可损伤. Your body, your hair, your skin is given to you by your parents. You should not. You don't have the right to destroy it.
That it doesn't belong just to you.
It doesn't belong just to you. And it probably also apply, for example, you do something bad to yourself, whatever. You think it's you hurt your parents' feeling.
It's funny that you say that because I used to tell my son that. I was like, you need to take care of yourself because if you don't, that's part of me, and then you're walking around hurting part of me. So let's straighten up here and make some better decisions. But that's totally yes, because they're part of you. And so if
you know, like in Africa, their hair they're proud of their different hairstyle.
Yes.
And here sometimes now it's better, but sometimes they have rules that if you have braided hair or whatever, they don't want to hire you. But if you do understand that it's such an important culture of them, then you won't have that prejudice, you know.
Right. That fear.
Yeah.
Right? Fear of something that's different. That doesn't look like who was here before. I don't know what's going to happen now. That's not, that doesn't, or smell even, because some people wear perfumes that, you know, are like, ooh. So, you know, that's totally right. That so many times we are afraid of what is not like us or what we're not used to. And many times, what's that?
What is the norm?
Exactly. What's known.
NORM. But it's your norm, not necessarily normal.
Norm. Yes, gotcha now. Yeah, totally right. And what's your norm isn't necessarily somebody else's norm. And the point of this whole show is to embrace that difference, right? And utilize it as a springboard to learn more and connect more, right? So
Yeah, just follow the one norm either, because sometimes I think that we depend too much on one standard of what's normal and everything, and sometimes it can be too much of a Eurocentric norm or something
oh
like
yeah,
that. But definitely, we have to celebrate all the diversities that exist
yes,
in all the cultures and everything, because a lot of times that's what I've always been about, is celebrating that diversity that exists among all people, whether it's African people, whether it's Latin people, whether it's Asian or whatever, because in the end, like Frida said, we're all humans at the end, but we also need to celebrate our cultural diversity.
yeah, and also be proud of it, right,
Yeah,
Frida?
Yes,
Be
absolutely.
proud
Yeah.
of where you come from and what you bring with you because of where you're from, right?
Mhm.
Instead of the old days of people trying to be something they're not. No,
right.
celebrate who you are, celebrate where you're from, connect in and give that goodness. Teach
Yeah.
people about your culture
Oh
because
yeah.
you know what? You might enjoy it. Can you imagine only having one type of music? Can you imagine having only one type of food? I mean, that's not the way it works. Or one type of friend. That's not the way it works.
Oh, no, that would be very dull. And like I said, one of the things that I've always admired is about even like the Chinese community and everything is I've always been a big fan of that Chinese calendar because I'm trying to remember, I can't remember what year 1962 is because I want to say it was the year of the tiger, but I need to go back and check. But definitely, I remember celebrating the fact that every year has a different animal associated with it.
Hmm. I mean, that's where the name of my company came from. I'm an earth monkey. So
Okay.
for heaven's sakes. So
So
Frida's
the diversity, yes, it make the life more colorful. You have different things, you do have it, but it's really is. How do I want it? So, for example, I did mention to you about microbiome.
yes, yes.
That microbiome has it's the diverse bacterial flora in your body has a good and bad bacteria, but the definition for it to be rich to be healthy is number one is the richness of it, the number of the bacteria in your the more the better. But the number two being healthy is the diversity. If you have only like they did a study with people in non-Western country. They don't eat the kind of food we have here. They don't have the stressful life we have here, and they don't use those antibacterial kind of fancy things on their skin. They have about 60,000 strains, different strains of bacteria. People in Western country only have 40,000 strains. And when you have less, you are less healthy. More diverse is healthier for that your body to thrive. So in science, you need that diversity to be healthy, you know, and like in the wild, it's the same, like the Wyoming, they have a story about the beaver. They were trying to, what was it? I'm sorry, I should study that. They just trying to extinct one animal, but then they find out when they extinct that one animal, it have another population of animal surge that cause so much problem. They have to bring that back. So diversity work its way to, I guess, like when you are diverse, you may have someone doing this to the extreme, but you have another diverse. Maybe you can bring it down because you know,
It can help give you the balance.
yeah, the
Is what you're
balance,
saying.
and yeah, the
And
balance.
growth.
And then the thinking, the balance, the
Yes.
culture of different
Yes.
diverse
Yes.
cultural background can hopefully bring us to the middle. And Chinese has a saying, say, 中庸之道. Everything is just the middle, you know. And as a nutrition, I used to like to use that example. Eggs was good, but when it's during World War One, I think, eggs become so scarce, right? And because we don't have food and different things. So after that, we say, oh, if we don't have it, now we have it. So let's have at least one a day. Oh, it's good. So maybe we can have two a day. And so now we come from here all the way
All the
here.
way over there.
Oh, no, that's not good. So let's bring back here. And then we bring back here to say it's not good. But no, it has to be that way. So it's a middle point that you want to bring to. And for everything, that's what Confucius says. Everything, if you can look, the middle is the best way to carry it out.
It's the balance. It's the yin and the yang. It's where it connects. So you've got some of everything, and that's what you need to flourish. So it's so funny how, our bodies teach us the lesson we need to learn, right? Just like what you said. So our bodies optimally work when the greater diversity that we have in our microbiome. And I want to go back to the definition of microbiome in a minute. But so internally, the micro, we need diversity. Macro, we forget that this is just a reflection of this. This is a reflection of this. So it's the same thing outside. It's the same thing inside.
Right.
The greater diversity we have, the better we can flourish, as well as find that balance point, right? So it's okay to go over here and it's okay to go over here, but you need to come back to the balance. And you can't go over here without getting that balance in.
So when you have diverse, it helps you to reach that balance.
Exactly. And you don't just kind of hang out and stagnate in the center point.
Yeah.
So you now work in your diversity education. A lot of times is in skincare now with folks, right? So you have a company called.
I represent my own company. Is just because I've been doing skincare for 25 years. So I call it Beautiful Skin for Life by Frida. And I'm representing a company called Truaro, which is a microbiome-friendly, probiotic-based anti-aging skin treatment. So it's actually, we probably started 2.5 years ago when we first started. It's like when you said microbiome is what? Microbiome, Michael Jackson. They don't know what But now you probably see some of the advertisements. Some big company now started putting money to educate people what is a microbiome, what is a microbiome friendly. So microbiome is an ecosystem that consists of water, electrolyte, good and bad bacteria that reside in our body, all over our body, in our gut, in our skin, in our mouths, and anywhere you have a mucus there. Okay. And they are called the second brain because they are so closely regulated our body's function, our immune system, our mood, our digestive system, our skin, our agents there. And we also are outnumbered by them because they found out 43% our body consisted living cell, but 57% are bacteria. I'm talking about the number of cells. So we know about the human cells and we've been working on that. But this bacterial microbiome is there since we started.
Wow.
It was not recognized by the scientific world until late 1990. So
57%. I'm still stuck on that. 57% is the microbiome.
Yeah, it's a bacterial. It's a bacterial, the microbes, which is a combination of bacteria, a little bit virus, and different things there. So, So the research just on the tip. We still don't know. There's so much we don't know, but now we know it has a profound effect on the health of us. With this pandemic, I think people talk about your immunity and different things. We kind of related to that, and that's what it is because the microbiome is the foundation of our immune system. That bacterial flora is deep under the skin, and they closely communicate to our body to form our immune system, inflammation, and when it prohibit the virus to come in. So it's very complicated, but it is so important. So that's why when the microbiome is balanced, they can do the job they were supposed to do. But if they got disturbed, then inflammation, different kind of condition would occur. So So that's why people taking probiotic for the gut.
Yeah.
The probiotic is a good bacteria that I'm talking about in your microbiome. And I'm doing, we talk about the skin is because when you put on your skin, you also don't want to feed things that is harmful to that bacteria.
Well, the skin is, something I learned years ago is the skin is the biggest organ on your body. I mean, it's really an organ. It's not just holding all the blood and guts in. It's an organ. So whatever you put on your skin is going in your body.
Not all of them, hopefully.
Okay.
So it depends on the size of the things, the temperatures, and where you put in. But we do know there are ingredients that according to the research, they are potential for to be a hormone disruptor, and they can be absorbed into your body. That's why they are hormone disruptor. They can be carcinogen, and they also can irritate your skin. So, like we put the water, it does not go into our body. So it's just depend on size and different things that it can go in. And you don't want to have things that can go into your skin because it's going to affect that. But the thing is, if you have an allergy irritant to certain things, you know it right away. But those harmful ingredients for the carcinogen, for the hormone disruption, a lot of times you don't know it until it's later, it's accumulated, I
was going to say, and it comes out in a different way. Like, I've got a problem with something or else. And so you go to the doctor and they don't go to your skin. They don't go to what you're putting on the skin unless it's like a functional doctor that wants to see everything that you're eating, putting on, sleeping, everything else. But typical doctors are just like, oh, we can't find anything. Or here's some medicine or something. Just totally what we don't need.
Yeah. So, what else I was going to say?
So it could be that what we're putting on our bodies is partially causing us to be sick.
It could, yeah. And there are research and study, like they show chemical sunscreen, especially 2 of them, that they found it sometimes in the breast milk, in the urine. So it absorbs into your body, and certain ingredient they found that it would what's the word? Accumulate, meaning that it will accumulate in your body, in your organ.
Which is interesting because last week we learned from Ludi, we learned about epigenetics and how you may have markers on your genes and certain things may cause them to come out. So this is just another way that unfortunately we can poison ourselves and cause those awful autoimmune things.
And the problem with the U.S. is for the skincare is they use the term cosmetic. That includes skincare. Is that anyone can put out some product and then label it. You don't have to send for FDA approval. All you need to do is to avoid the 11 ingredients that FDA say you cannot have. But guess what? European Union standard bans 1,328 ingredients that research has shown they are potentially harmful to your body. So,
wow, because one of the things that I've been noticing, Frida, and I was wondering, it sounds like that's what you're saying is part of the reason of the problem existing, is that there seems to be a rise in folks having eczema and other kind of like skin things that are going on. And it seems to me that what you're saying is that it's because they're putting too much of those negative things on their body, and that's why we're seeing the rise in eczema and also rise in other fungus diseases as well.
So when you have skin issue, eczema, rosacea, different things, it's because the imbalance of the good and bad bacteria. And I would not say it's totally from the skin. A lot of times the gut health is also influence. So your body get exposed in 2 things: when you eat and when you put on your body. So it definitely affect that, because whatever you eat, whatever you put on that, you are feeding that microbes, that bacterial flora in your body. And and then I do see a lot of people that has a little bit skin irritation, sensitive skin, and then when they use the clean product, their skin just become calmer. Yes.
Because I use her products, right? Proof's in the pudding. So my skin used to have all kinds of bumps. I can tell a difference with what I eat too, but her skin products do not make my face like inflamed. They just feel good, and you feel like you're actually feeding yourself. And then what's funny about her stuff too is at the end of the day, usually your face looks better than if you'd used other products, at the end of, like even we did this, she had a makeup workshop one time. It was so much fun. And I realized at the end of the day, it's like my makeup was still where I had put it. It still looked good. Whereas, the cosmetics, like, sold on even the nice ones that are expensive, they're halfway down your face. They're all blotchy. You got itches somewhere. Something's going on. But her products are so healthy. You actually feel like you're helping yourself. If you're going to wear them, not everybody wears them. But her skincare line, I mean, it's easy to follow and it works really well. Not that this is a commercial for Frida, but for people to really be educated about what they're putting on their skin, right, Frida? I mean, I couldn't recommend your products enough. But the point is for people to educate, plant the seed that what you're putting on your skin is going to could affect your health.
Yeah. And then, you talk about cosmetic. Our cosmetic is also clean, microbiome friendly. And I did not realize how dirty the makeup is. I mean, so yeah, lead and different things. Yeah. So that's why I really love is I do workshops, and I used to do in person, but I now do a virtual. And my first part is I'm sometimes too detailed, but to educate people about the importance of microbiome health. Okay, I touch a little bit. So you have a basic understanding, and hopefully to help you to establish a good habit for the rest of your life. Because, knowledge is this. If you don't know anything about it and you see an article about it, you won't click on it because you don't know what it is. But you will, if you actually have just a little bit information. So for example, Mark, now so microbiome, you probably is going to say, oh, I heard Frida talk a little bit. Maybe I'll click on it because. So my goal is really to kind of educate people, just like you, Tish. You want to teach people about balance and mindfulness and different things. So that's my workshop is. And then after that, if someone is looking for solution, I do have a line that I so proudly represent that I can share that with other people. And it's just, it's been a really, really fun journey here for me. I just absolutely love it to get opportunity to educate people, and with a little bit twist of nutrition, moderation, Chinese, the elders experience advice.
And the fun, right? Because your energy is so buoyant and so woo! But it's always fun to be. But yeah, you offer the education. You're not just here, let's paint your face or let's wash your face, but let's understand what's going on behind it. And that's really what got me. But besides the fact that they work, because we did half our face and then our other half, and it was like, oh my God. So you really can see the difference. But to go from nutrition, it was just an interesting journey from nutrition into skincare, because you realize that how important your skin is. To your body.
Skin is very important. What kind of products do you have on your line? Is it all just cosmetic products, and most people associate with being with the ladies and everything, or is it products that are for man, and it also include regular things like soap and stuff?
Good question. Very good question. The most of the line I represent before, we had one for oily skin, one for sensitive skin, one for guy, one for acne prone skin. Now it's one line that fits everyone, because the philosophy is to foster the health of the microbes underneath. And so when your skin is healthy and getting all the nourishing things and no irritant there, your skin will become healthy. And then, of course, it's very simple, and we have a regimen there and also have some advanced treatment there. And how I help people is I find out your lifestyle. If someone say, I only wash my face and put a moisturizer on, I'm not going to say you need to get all those things there. But if someone say, bring it on, I want it all, then I will share that with them. So there's, and I actually did a workshop. I probably need to do that again with just a guy, because when I was doing networking, I would talk about that. And then the guy always kind of look at me. So I said, okay, I'm going to have a workshop for the guys, and I have like 7 or 8. It was so much fun. And because guys do want to have skincare. They don't want to fuss. They don't want too many things, right? Yeah. Yep. A cleanser and a moisturizer probably is all you need. And
Sounds like
Yeah.
it sounds like you
Lots.
just have all kinds of amazing things going on a regular basis. So definitely, it sounds like folks can learn a lot from you. And I know that I sometimes don't like certain soaps, so I might have to check out your lines. Because I did find a household soap that works for me, but I'm always about natural things as well. So definitely, will
And
check out what you got.
wonderful, wonderful. I know our time over, but I just want to say natural is not necessarily clean. And
Right.
and you're so right. There's something like the sodium lauryl sulfate is actually in a lot of wash there that is really not good for your body. And the other thing I just want to say, it's not my company. It's a company has scientists as the people develop the formula. So sometimes people say, is the line yourself? As you know, there's no way I can produce a line that works so well. Just my person, but it's a company in Texas that with a scientist on the background to do developing. So,
And I believe you've got an event coming up because I was actually looking up while we were talking, and I'm actually going to try to see if I can't put that up. But I think you've got an event coming up this weekend as well. So if you could tell our folks about that event, I'm sure they would love to learn about it.
this weekend,
So Wednesday, I think it is.
Yeah, I have on it's my virtual workshop that people I have a post in Eventbrite and people can sign up and register, and then I will get they register. But what I also do, I do one step further, is I also send them the samples. So when after I educate them, then they can actually putting the sample on. I will teach them how to use it and tell them about the benefits and features there. So that's how it works. So and I usually have once a week. So I actually have one next week, but I did not post there because I need to have enough time to send the samples to them. But I have one on the 22nd. I have one on the 29th, and so people can register. And I actually have people from England register. And she said, I really want to try the sample. So now being it's virtual. So.
Which is what anywhere across the country or across the world can come to your workshop now.
But it's really only work for probably most of work for U.S. and Canada.
Why do you say that? Because of the time?
Because shipping is our company do ship to that, but to England or whatever, it's like one time I shipped something to someone from Australia because she kind of gave me some help a little bit, and just like she was supposed anyway. But so I said I'll send you something, and then I realized she's in Australia, and when I find out, I need to pay for it. But I really appreciate her to give me some opinion there. So yeah.
Fabulous. So really want to thank you for coming on today and sharing your experiences and your philosophy of how important it is to the diversity. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about our bodies, our microbiome, or we're talking about our lives with people and connecting with people, as well as not forgetting the stories and the reason why things are there.
Yeah. And definitely she gave some great advice and everything. And definitely you're right. Diversity is so important in everything. And I know I'm a big fan of even diversity in my diet. So I try to have foods from different cultures, different types of foods, and definitely try to have diversity because I agree that it's something we need all in our lives and everything. Frida, just out of curiosity, is there any kind of because you mentioned, and I was also used to be a bigger fan and used to be able to tell you some of the quotes from Confucius, but is there any Confucius quotes or anything that you think are directly related to diversity and to the skincare business that are things that folks might be able to tie in to your passion for Confucius as well as the skincare?
As for the diversity?
Yeah.
Okay, you call me off guard.
We're not prepared for that, Mark.
I certainly can come up one, but not right now. I'm so sorry. I do know a lot of things I like to share. I always love to share our Confucius saying there. There's so many things he said. Sometimes when people say something, I can think of what they
Well, what's
teach.
your favorite? You don't have to link it to diversity. Just tell us what your favorite Confucius quote is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Remember, I just spoke 中庸之道, and the middle is where it is. And the other day, sometimes it's kind of sparked my thought, like someone who is a travel agent. So I said, Chinese has a saying that travel thousands were much better than reading thousands. So just a lot of different things. Let me see. My goodness, I have so many.
Well, that's a good one on diversity right there. About traveling and seeing different things, experiencing different things. 1,000, that's a lot. How many people can say they've been to 1,000 different traveled to 1,000 different places? Now reading's beautiful. I love reading, but that he's talking about the experience. He's talking about that energy exchange, physical experience of being in a different place, right? So that's a beautiful one. So you did it.
One thing I really like is I always say is 己所不欲,勿施于人. Okay, and English has something similar. Whatever you don't like, you don't put that to other people. It's just so simple. Anytime if you are going to do something, and if you can just say, oh, I would not want that on me, then you should never put that on other people. That's just such an easy principle to go by, to stand by.
That's exactly right. Kind of like the golden rule: do unto others as you want done unto yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Very important. But I think your message about the cultural history and not losing who you are and combining it and celebrating it, to me, that's one of the most important messages that, you shared today even telling us a little bit about holidays. Because I had no idea. I saw something on Eventbrite about dragon boat racing, and I was like, oh, that looks like fun. I want to do that. But I had no idea there was a story behind it.
Yeah, when we're talking about diversity, the curiosity is what is so important. Okay, you don't just say, okay, that food is good, I taste it, whatever. It's a curiosity to find out why they are doing that, because there has to be a story, a reason that come down with the centuries there. Then you become appreciative of that value, and then when you look at that person, you will have the empathy. Yeah, it's not just, okay, it's different, I need to accept it. No, you are going to say, oh, I know why. There's a beautiful story behind that.
But you're
I just thought about something that you said, Tish, and I was actually going to disagree with you slightly, because you said that very few people have been to 1,000 places, when Frida mentioned the thing about 1,000 places and visiting 1,000 places with the Confucius quote. You're probably right. Most of us have not been to 1,000 countries or even 1,000 cities. But if you think about it, if I'm thinking about the way that I'm interpreting Confucius and everything, 1,000 places could literally be within like a 5-mile radius, and then you might be to 1,000 places. Because like I said, if I'm here in my apartment now and I go to a store later on today, and then I go to another store later on today, just in the course of a day, I might have visited about 50 to 100 places, in which case it changes the context of that quote. Because if you say,
it does, but I was taking it from
that quote is more saying that you're reading it versus really personally experience it to see the things happening. It is so different. Right. So yeah. So going places and experience it. What I talk about, the people doing different things there instead of reading on the book, that it just encourage people to travel to different places. Don't have to be country, but different places to see it. Now, of course, when you go to different country, you see more. So anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I've never been to a country. That you still go 1,000 places, Mark. Yeah, if you count everything you do during the day, I was thinking about in the context of the curiosity, right? Like the destination. Like I'm going to pick, I want to go to, Front Royal, Virginia, because I want to paddle the South Fork of the Shenandoahs. Like that was what I was thinking of a place, versus I'm going to run to the store later to get some chocolate chips to make some cookies for my son. I didn't think about it that way, but you're right, because really every experience you have can be an experience, right?
Right.
It's what we make out of it and how we open our eyes to the opportunities that are there present. Thank you for that, Mark.
No
Well,
problem.
quite,
I just know that when I go places, I try to experience them, and sometimes it is experiencing the people in those places. So,
yeah,
like I said,
it
I
always
might be going there for a quick errand, like if I'm going to the grocery store, but I'm also observing the people around me and observing kind of the things that are happening around me. So it's not just going to grab the celery and the carrots, if that's what I'm going to the store for, or the milk, but it's actually also observing the whole environment that we're in while we're in that process. So that's what I meant when I said that you can still have the experience of a whole, the whole experience, even if you're going to a quick trip, even within the context of where you're at.
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Sometimes I forget that and I'm just busy on my little quest. Now, one thing I have noticed, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this too, but since the pandemic and we've been getting out more, right? It seems like people, I don't know if they're more friendly and want to conversate or if it's me that's more friendly and wants to conversate. You know what I mean? Because like I find myself getting into conversations and sometimes like deep conversations with total strangers more than I used to. You know what I mean? Like people's like little comments you make as you're going, almost like we're trying to connect, you know, even though it's a total stranger in a grocery store. So I feel like the dynamic, as long as I've got my mask on, if I don't have my mask on, people don't want to come near me. But if I've got my mask on, it seems like people, you know, they want to talk and we're all busy trying to look at each other's eyes to see, are you smiling? Are you, you know, what's going on here? Because we can't really see each other's faces. But yeah, you're right.
A lot of times you value things after it was deprived from you.
Yes.
Mm,
So I think
and
before
that's
we
it.
do not value that we get to see people, we can actually greet people, have a little bit of conversation. Now we've been shielded away from that. So when we go out there and find some friendly people, you value that human.
Totally. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
can't hug them.
Also, we were so busy before, and now
Yeah.
without all that business, it seems like you have a little bit time to engage some meaningful conversation.
And take a little bit more time with folks.
But I do
Right.
wonder sometimes, the only thing that I wonder, and I'm Frida, are you seeing an increase in your business? Because the one thing that I'm concerned about is that because we're so much, yes, people are getting out more because of things opening up, but we are still a lot of times in our house, and probably in our house more than we've been in the past. Because before we were in the going to work and back and forth, and now you're not necessarily going to your work spot, so you're still in the house. So I'm thinking that sometimes we might get a little lazy with our skincare and things of that nature because we're sitting in the
I'm
house,
so
we're in front
glad
of
you
the
said
computer.
that. Self-care is so important. Your skin, no matter you're going out or not, and when you're going out, you still need that skin. And if you don't take care of it, it's just the rest of the body that you don't take care of. It's not going to be there for you. You may not need the cosmetics, but you definitely need to wash your face and put some moisturizer on and trying to keep them healthy. So they will be there for you.
Right.
So good question, and I have a good answer for you.
That was a great answer. But by the
And
way,
also, we all talk about self-care, and just the fact of taking some time to take care of yourself is great for your mental health too.
and you must be doing a great job with this because as you were talking, I was thinking because I've got good stock in terms of family lineage and everything. My dad is just turned this year. He just turned 80, and my mom is 78. But as I was looking at you, I'm thinking there like she doesn't look like a grandma. She doesn't not look like a grandma at all. So, like I said, you've done a good job of maintaining yourself as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why she leads by example, 100%.
Well, I am a little bit blessed with my gene too. Okay, but I do take time to take care of myself. So yeah, and with the help for a good company. Thank you.
And you stay really active. You do a lot of hiking and a lot of like walking and a lot of activities with your grandchildren.
No, I can do more. Like
Do
a
you?
Tai Chi. I really should
Let's do it.
I really should put maybe 20 minutes a day to do that because I know how good it is. And I did take classes on that. But you know, it's a consistency and yeah. I need to hit up with Tish.
Need to have Tai Chi with Tish, and then you might be able to grab. I know my dad is still bicycling and doing things of that nature. And like I said, he's going out and going to the soccer matches and other things with my nephews when they have them. So he's definitely still very much engaged as well. So definitely, I've seen some folks that are in that grandma, and even granddad, and great grandma and great granddad kind of culture that are still out there, still physically active. So that's just a great thing to see when I see those folks out there walking, even some walking around the Duke Wall, which is very popular here in Durham. You'll see some folks that are of all ages out there walking, and particularly now that folks are getting out more, I'm seeing that even more now.
Now, if you go to Taiwan, you go to China in the morning before 8, before 7 in a park, what do you see?
Tai Chi.
Tons of people doing Tai Chi exercise and Qigong. That's what people do. Tons of people.
You wake up and you take care of yourself. You get your body moving. You come back to basics, and then you can go through the rest of your day. Yep.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I noticed in Chinese culture or Asian culture in general. Y'all do wake up in the morning with this spirit of exercise and doing it early. And the other thing I've noticed, and I think that I've observed this, is that y'all seem to have, unlike the Western society, it seems that a lot of times there's that down period. So there's like a period in the evening where you're actually having like some downtime before you go to bed. So there's like just some like time to be away from the computer, be away from everything else. But that seems to be more prevalent in other cultures than it is here. And I think that that's something we need to do more of, is have that downtime before we go to bed and go to sleep.
Totally.
Well, people say those people in the park are more elder. So I have to say, unfortunately, when you are working, a lot of times you don't have time to do that. But people over 60, 65, they really engage in a lot of physical activity in Tai Chi, those kind of movement. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And calming down before you go to bed. I mean, that's a basic, Mark, the blue light. How many people, this blue light, it's going to interfere with your sleep. So to take, an hour, 2 hours before you go to bed and turn off all the electronics and read or meditate or stretch or do whatever, I think really can help aid a good night's sleep. And without a good night's sleep, that's part of the balance you need, right, Frida? It's part of being in the middle. You got to have that balance to rebuild yourself.
Sleeping is so important. Sleeping is so important. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in the West, it's like, so we stay plugged in, right? And then we have to take something. Like somebody the other day, I hate to even say this, but on my neighborhood Facebook page said something about feeding their kid. I mean, they made it like a joke. They were like, give your kid a NyQuil shooter and then you can stay up and watch this or something. And I'm like, I really hope that was a joke. Nobody was like, give him a NyQuil shooter. But, because it's like you shouldn't have to take something to go to sleep, and you shouldn't drug somebody to go to sleep. I mean, you got to stay in your natural body rhythms, find them and stay in them, right? And you do that through diversity with what you do. You do that through keeping your body active and keeping it tired. You do that through eating the right foods and a diverse food. You do that through your mind, feeding your mind different things, by feeding your body different activities. I mean, your body can thrive. Your energy can get somewhat stagnated if you do the same thing over and over and over. At least that's been my experience. No. So when you do something different, it's like that spark. Like Frida was talking about kids' dreams, that thing that you always want to do. Like I'm going to mention the Shenandoahs again. There's a powwow I really want to go to in the Shenandoahs. This was going to be the year, but it didn't happen. So it's going to be next year. But that's going to, give me so much, energy, so much of a woo, because that's something that I've wanted to do. I'm curious about it. And then I'm going to finally feed that curiosity, and that keeps my energy going and keep it not peaked, but keeps it like with new life and the rejuvenation. I mean, just like your skin, right, Frida? It's got to rejuvenate. It's got to redo itself every so often. And I feel that's the same with our energy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
our things, that we've got to do different things, but at the same time, take care of ourselves so that we have the energy, we have the stamina to do whatever it is we want to do.
Yes.
And not only that, but even the sleep is going to impact the way your skin is. Because, like I said, when you have the lack of sleep, then that's when you get the lines under your eyes, and you get other things that can be impactful by the lack of care and everything. So definitely, that sleep is also going to impact our skin and all of our bodies. So that's definitely something that we need to think about, even in the context of skincare and nutrition.
Right.
No, sleeping is so important. It's when you sleep, your body does so many repair things. I mean, it's one. I wasn't going to talk more, but there's one podcast I listened to was really get me thinking. You know, all our body has what's it called? The gland that excrete the waste.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? Oh my, like if you have.
Our sweat glands or under armpits or
no, the other, what's the word? My goodness. Okay. But in our brain does not have that system to excrete the toxic. Okay.
Right.
So lymphoid.
Okay, lymph system.
But it's not in our brain. So what they say, what happened is at nighttime, there has a different flow, and that's the time when the waste will be coming out your brain. It only happens when you sleep. So they were using an analogy. They say, like, if you have a house that is dirty, you don't put things away. A week, it's okay. Maybe a month, it's okay. But when you do a prolonged time that you don't clean out the waste, it's become doable. And that's something with your brain is too. If you don't get enough sleep for it to get rid of the waste, you can have an accumulation. They actually found out you have accumulation of the material that they say relate connected to Alzheimer's. It's just sleeping is so important. Ever since I read that, I know I need to sleep.
That's the first time I've ever heard that. Thanks for sharing.
I'll share that. I'll find that and share that podcast with you.
That'd be great, because I didn't realize, I knew that our body was rebuilding itself, but I didn't know that was the time where the brain released. And that explains so much about through this whole menopause journey I've been on and this lack of sleep I've been on. While your brain not like plays tricks with you, but it's like, who's in charge here? It's because it's full of junk if I can't get a good night's sleep. That makes so much sense.
Chinese medicine, he also even talk about certain time you need to go to bed because the body is circulate to different things. So I don't think we want to get into that too. But sleeping is so important. I mean, for your health. I mean, when I talk to people, I don't talk. I mean, yes, it's good for your skin, but I always emphasize about that for your health. I mean, when you are healthy, you have healthy skin. It's just connected. Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah. It's very much important for your health. There's no doubt about that. I actually did not get enough sleep last night because, unfortunately, I live in a apartment complex and the kids are back, or at least some of the kids are back. So they decided to have one of those lovely college parties. So I heard a little bit too much noise that was keeping me up a little bit later than I was expecting to be up, because I'm not as young as them, but I heard them in the background and they kept me up a little bit.
Oh, Mark, I might have to come over and check those out with you. I'm just kidding. For some entertainment, we can be the grandparents on the corner.
The grandparents on the corner making jokes at them, sitting over there like they're going to keep us up. We might as well have a hard time and watch them and everything.
Have fun, yeah. Be entertained by the whole thing.
That's right. That is the good part. You can't have laughter and entertainment. That is always important as well. So definitely sleep, but also laughter is real important too. So that's all vital.
Absolutely. Yeah. But if you just don't clean your house for one day, that's okay. It's more habitually.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah. And again, that's like we talked about last week with our genes, that like if you eat wrong or something's wrong, not necessarily one of those markers are going to be triggered. But if you continually poison do the wrong thing, then it gets triggered. And you may not realize it until so much of the damage is done. And then you try to figure out what you can do at that point.
Yeah, that's good. I do have to give Tish a hard time about something else, though, because you have not been to a powwow yet in all your life and everything. Because if not, you need to. Okay.
No, I have. It's the Shenandoah. So, like, I've started picking the ones I want to go to, right? Okay. So that's why, yes, I adore powwows. And adore is not even a strong enough word. It's, to me, the drum is like the heartbeat of the Mother Earth. And so it just, Frida, have you ever been to a powwow?
Invite me next time you go in.
That'll be fun. There's one actually, the first ones I went to were the Okanichi, right there north of Hillsboro.
Yeah.
So it's not even that far, if they're still we'll see what happens next year. Hopefully there'll be another powwow circuit.
I love powwow. I love climbing mountain, whatever. Yeah.
I was thinking you and I need to go on a hike this year. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And guess what?
Hikes are always fun. I've not been to a hike in the Eno in a while, so I'm about to do
for
an Eno hike. And my brother actually lives around the corner from the Eno, so I'm due for some Eno hiking. And if you decide to go to a powwow, I actually have a cousin who is part of the powwow dance circuit. So my cousin actually runs a dance school up in Hollister, North Carolina, but she's part of the powwow circuit around the country. So she does that, and her brother actually designs belts and other Native American
cool.
items as well, and he's in Canada. So they are a family of folks that do that. She's also got some sisters that are involved as well. So a couple of my cousins are involved in that, but my cousin Berna is very heavily involved with that with her husband. So they travel around. He's, I think, originally of Apache descent, and she's of Halawa Saponi descent. So they travel around and tour the whole nation doing that whole powwow thing. Haven't done as much this year, of course, because of COVID, but they are hoping to come back strong next year.
It's amazing. And it's like what we're talking about diversity, right? I mean, that's Native American culture. It's different than ours, but it is so, for me, it's soul moving. I mean, it really is. And it's connecting. And the other thing that's so wonderful is I've never been to a powwow where I felt out of place or unwelcome. Right. One of the first ones I went to, they said, this is really, you call it a powwow, but this is a family reunion is what it is to us, and so that really helped get my thought around the whole, connection of the culture, and let it, and sharing their culture and how open they are to share it to whoever wants to come. And then the reason each of the dances, I didn't know it the first time, but then I started learning that each of the dances, there's a different purpose to it. Just like Frida, you were talking about holidays, there's different purposes. There are reasons why people do things. And when we figure out what those reasons are, they mean so much more than just something neat to participate in. So it's vital. And then that's part of the culture that if it's not passed on, then what's going to happen to the human race in the future, right? If we don't learn our lessons, if we don't continue the lessons that we've learned, then what's going to happen in the future? Is life going to be, what's going to be important anymore? And I think y'all are like me, like, what's important is connections, right? What's important is us being together, global citizenship, multiculturalism, and bringing the best of all worlds, connecting together and helping each other and lifting each other up, right? Is what it's all about. And the different cultures can give us that foundation, right?
Very much true. Definitely, we can get that different foundation based on studying those different cultures, and not just, like you said, not just the culture that you are raised in. Like I said, my background is definitely the African American background, but I also have the Native American side of the family as well. But I do love going to things that are not even of my culture and everything. I remember definitely one of the favorite things that I used to love doing was there was a group here in the Raleigh-Durham area that, of all things, they practiced polka music, and they actually played like a polka band, and I used to go hear them perform, and they were actually very enjoyable and everything. So like I said, I would see them performing. There was another group that was a local-based ukulele group, so sometimes just hearing these groups that are not necessarily music that you would usually listen to can also help you learn about those cultures, but also learn about different styles of life, different parts of the world, because I don't know that I'll ever make it to Poland, but at least I got to know a little bit about the music, and the same with some of the other music that I've heard of parts of the world that I may not make it to. I mean, in the ideal world, there's, hundreds of countries, and I would love to get to all of them, but I'm also realistic, and it costs money to make those travels, so probably won't happen that I'll be able to make it to all of them. I'm hoping to make it to a few of them, but even if I don't make it to all of them, those that I didn't make it, I can hopefully enjoy their music or other aspects of their culture.
Right. Or like Frida says, the language.
Or you just have a 1 hour conversation with someone from other country that you have open and just ask them.
Right.
They will be able to give you a little bit sense of what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Frida.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
So what? I got another question for you. So Beautiful Skin for Life by Frida is your current. You're doing virtual workshops. What do you see? And I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but what do you see in the next 5 or 10 years for Frida?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think this is what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to continue bring people's awareness of microbiome health and educate people on that, and I don't know.
Raise your grandchildren.
My other one is in Taiwan, so I probably will only see them. And the other two is one is 6, so one is 8. Pretty soon they don't need me that much. I probably will only help them when they need a car ride or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe we used to travel a lot. We have not done that. Maybe do a little bit of that. And I don't know. I'm so sorry. I have not thought. In the next 5 years, 10 years, 5 years, definitely what I'm doing here.
Yeah, fantastic.
And still come out to meet people. I love people. So maybe I'll form a group of get together with some women that we can just connect and share or whatever. Yeah, we'll see.
That's fantastic. That's exciting. All right, Mark. Well, I think that's a wrap.
It sounds great. Just really quickly, who do you have coming on next week? And do you want to close out with that same music that we came in with? And then who do you have? And do you want to exit the same way that you came in or not?
Yeah, I typically don't like exiting through the same indoor, but for the show, let's do it. Okay. Next week, we have a monk that's going to join us. He's an artist and an author, and he is on retreat in Nepal, and he's going to join us from Nepal.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And he lived in Berkeley, California for a while, and is an artist, had a studio and this kind of thing. But he is building a temple to the elements because we know that so many people have gotten out of touch with the land. And his main point is honoring the land, getting back in touch with ourselves, getting in touch with the elements. So we've got a lot of different things we're going to talk about, but those are the main point. But it's going to be great. I mean, again, talking with
joining you. I wonder whether we will see a little bit of the Nepal, huh?
He's probably it's going to be like 11 o'clock his time at night.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a feeling so far every time I connect with him, it's in his, I guess, where he meditates or where he stays. And so that's where it's been so far. But yeah, we would, because it's nighttime at his time. We talked about pre-recording it, but then we thought that a live would be a lot better.
Okay.
So that's who we have next week. We're excited.
Sounds great. Look forward to it. And definitely this particular one will close out with that lovely video. Since folks got to hear it at the beginning, they'll get to hear it at the end as well. And then that'll wrap up the show. So definitely a great conversation and a pleasure to meet you, Frida. And definitely, hopefully I'll be learning more about your skin line and keeping in touch with you. But definitely it was great meeting you.
Thank you. Same here.
Thank you, Frida.
Thank you.
It's always good to see you. Thanks, Mark.
No problem.
Little
Oh, Lord.
peekaboo.